Behold! Today we are going to talk about Augmented Hadouken Zephyr. There are actually a lot of different weapons that are very good in this loadout, and I'll explain why. So, the crux of this loadout is increasing the velocity of projectiles, like that bombard rocket, by using Zephyr's 3. So, you cast Turbulence, and this ability's normal function is to redirect bullets that come at you. So watch him. Get rid of that guy. But see, these enemies are shooting at me, but I'm not taking any damage. Until my wind goes down, I will not take damage from any projectile-based weapons. Yeah, okay, we get it, except bombard rockets. So the idea is that some weapons experience a improvement if you can just stand there and get ready to use them, and if you have the augment for turbulence, which increases the projectile velocity of projectiles fired near the turbulence effect, which means that some weapons, like you know the one I'm talking about, get very, very effective if you can increase the velocity of a certain aspect of them. Bam, that's a lot faster than normal, isn't it? You can fire crazy, evil, augmented Hadoukens all over, and they have basically no travel time now because of this wind. And while you're charging up this bigger shot, which now has travel time that you can actually use, as you can see, not that slow anymore, you are protected because you have the wind effect. Turbulence's augment also makes you go fast while you're using it, which is pretty nice. Another thing about this build is keeping the movement very fun and giving you lots of options. So Zephyr has reduced aerial... she's affected by gravity less. What that means for you moving around in this build is... So some people really don't like that Zephyr's affected by gravity less, but if you move fast, I find that it's a lot less annoying. So like if you're moving really quick and then you like sail forward, it feels kind of normal. And in fact, being able to go more in the direction you intended is kind of nice. But if you're going slowly and it's like these moonwalk hops, that doesn't feel good. It feels like you're not a ninja anymore, you're just like floating around like an idiot. So that's bad. But being able to hover around so you can like very precisely move around in the air is really, really fun when you're using these weapons that like have different projectile speed abilities, and where you aim and unleash this shot that does tons of damage. Now, of course, another thing I'm talking about are bows. I'm going to show you these builds in a minute, but I'll tell you right now that this Dread has Argon Scope on it, and if you put Argon Scope on a Dread, you can get red crits kind of everywhere. And the reason you can actually do this is because with the wind effect, the arrow's travel time is reduced almost to nothing. You can shoot very, very far and the arrow is almost hit scan. Very, very, very fast. So if I aim at something really far away, really no travel time, it just instantly hits. Or not literally instantly, but you know, very, very fast. And you can do a lot more things with the arrows than you normally could because they now travel very fast. You don't have to account for arc basically ever. You don't have to account for drop. It's not really a problem. You could just shoot them, and wherever you want them to go, they're gonna go. They pretty much just go straight now because their velocity is increased so heavily. I mean, and then of course, look at my color scheme. I'm sure you can tell that we're gonna have some kind of edgy crap in here. So let's get going with the Galatine Prime, of course. If you need to heal yourself under your wind, this is a very good weapon for that. Very efficient life strike weapon because it does so much damage per hit. You can just swing once. You'll probably recover your entire health bar, which is fantastic. Also, panic tornadoes if you want to use them, although they kind of get in the way of everything. Anyway, let's talk about build. So here are the weapons I just showed you. Now, I am going to show you a couple of other weapons in a few minutes, but I think that the Staticor is a very good sort of anchor for this loadout. This weapon is a lot of fun to use normally, and it's even more fun with this augment build, I think. So I would recommend that you kind of run this here. There aren't that many secondaries that benefit from the projectile velocity increase. It's mostly primaries that are benefiting. So because the Staticor is pretty good with that projectile increase, I would recommend that you mostly stick to that, just like so your build has something that's actually good that can get the job done. And then you can manipulate your primary and change your melee weapon to whatever you like and experiment and have a lot of fun with lots of different weapons. This build has been kept at a medium budget so that it is for fun. I know you're not going to invest a lot in Zephyr, most people don't care about Zephyr. Don't spend too much on this build, just pick some cool weapons that have travel time and have fun. Let's talk about the Zephyr build first. It's really not very complicated, but here we go. So Jetstream. So this is the augment for turbulence. This increases your projectile velocity. Now, the thing that you need to know about this build is that when you set this up for yourself, you're going to have to adjust the power strength accordingly so that you have the amount of projectile speed that you want. So that projectile speed value is affected by power strength. If you have negative power strength, you'll just get less. It doesn't like make your projectiles slow, you just gain less speed. And your movement speed also gets faster, but anyway. So for me, for general weapons, I decided that having 200%-ish projectile speed was the amount that I liked. So Transient Fortitude, Intensify, and then a rank 2 Blind Rage. This is actually really helpful sometimes. Normal Blind Rage would give me way more power strength, but I don't want negative efficiency. I want to be able to use my wind often. So a rank 2 Blind Rage allows you to basically run a second copy of Intensify, and you just get a small power efficiency debuff. So it can be a helpful thing to have around. If you have an extra one or the means to get an extra one, maybe look at getting a rank 2 one. It can be helpful in some builds. I also didn't have enough capacity point. Again, the rest of this build is mostly just stuff I found comfortable. This build isn't really about like accomplishing anything, you just want to set the stats to what you feel comfortable with. So Prime Continuity and Constitution make the wind last longer. Natural Talent lets you refresh it quicker, which is important because it's what's keeping you alive. Potagium allows you to maneuver in the air in like really fun ways while you're floating and aim gliding and stuff. I actually found that this makes a big difference because you can be airborne for a long time and your aim glide timer will not last quite long enough on its base. But if you have this, you can pretty much just float around for a long time. You can do crazy air strafe jukes where you like go off the map and then go back in, and it can be really fun once you start playing around with it. And now let me show you the Staticor. So this is a status chance build. This weapon has really good status, and especially with this build where you're spamming things out, you can get a lot of procs. But if you wanted to build it for just damage, upfront damage, you could cut all this and this, or not this, or whatever, and just add tons of 90% elementals and the damage would go up a significant amount. Personally, I think the status procs are pretty good. You can inflict tons of armor stripping and enemy confusing and blast procking, and it's pretty nice. So yeah, I like this. Very low cost. I might invest more in this weapon and make it a damage build, but this is what I like for now, so take it as you will. This weapon has decent ammo efficiency, so I really do think it's okay to run anemic agility, but I'm also running it because it looks amazing in this loadout that you can just like spam them really fast from on high, so your results may vary. Now, you saw the Dread and the Galatine, so I'll show you those builds, but I don't really have anything to say about them. Again, this one includes Argon Scope because your arrows are now very fast, so it's not very difficult to hit headshots. You don't really experience much travel time or arrow drop, so Argon Scope is no problem. I said that there were some other weapons, and now I'm going to show you what I meant by that. Yes, it's Tonkor. Stop crying. I'm sorry. So, if you run the Tonkor with this loadout, if you get enough projectile speed, the blasts will explode on impact. So, see, normally they would bounce, right? But they didn't bounce. They exploded immediately. What the hell? Why? Well, I don't know why, but what I do know is that if you have more than a certain amount of velocity, I think it's something around 270% power strength or so, with Jetstream, you will cause Tonkor grenades to explode on impact instead. Now, those of you thinking this is a bug or an exploit or something, DE was actually asked about this directly, and they said it is, quote, the intended functionality, which is astonishing, but apparently true, so don't worry. It's not going to get patched. This has been in the game for like a year, so don't worry about that. So run a bunch of power stuff, and then Tonkor, and just run whatever you want for Tonkor. I kept it extremely simple so that nobody feels like they can't make this build. It's just this. You don't even really need like heavy caliber, and prime cryo rounds are really unnecessary. You should probably actually build this weapon with more crit mods, like put in, you know, maybe put in bladed rounds, for example. Like, it's pretty reliable crit chance, so you should probably put in bladed rounds, but I wanted to keep this nice and simple because this weapon is a pretty low mastery rank, so if you're a newer player and you're looking at this, you should be able to put this together kind of easily, or something similar. You just want Point Strike and Vital Sense and then lots of damage, so just build that. that's fine. If you happen to get bladed rounds later, put it on. If you happen to get Firestorm, I guess you could do that. Argon Scope if you're crazy. Go for it, just go nuts. And then like there are lots of weapons that could be good for this. So like the Zeuge, these bolts of travel time, it's a crossbow, so increasing the speed, that would be interesting. Sinoid Simulor, I know nobody wants me to talk about this weapon on the channel, but these balls will go a lot further, so you can stack your balls and blow stuff up from a lot further away if you have Turbulence Augment thing, so that's potentially really cool. It seems kind of unnecessary to me, but the Ogress is kind of meh anyway, but you can make the slow rockets go a lot faster. The Lanka won't have so much travel time, so Gas Lanka, it'll be easier to hit, potentially, cool thing. Ceranos Prime, I tried it with this weapon and it actually doesn't really do much of anything, so I personally wouldn't bother. And Galatine, this is just my normal Galatine build. It doesn't really have anything to do with this build, you're gonna want a way to heal. We don't have any survivability mods because Zephyr has very high base armor, no, health and shields. You got 900 total, and that's being reduced, of course, by you not getting hit by stuff due to turbulence. So you're gonna be pretty hardy overall, but you're gonna want a way to top yourself off, so this weapon does extremely high damage per hit, even when the combo counter isn't spun up. So you can just hit once, heal for a ton of health, get back to business. Great. But yeah, let me know if you have any ideas for weapons for this loadout. This is kind of a trivialization build, where it's like if you really don't like travel time, you can just like make it kind of not exist anymore, and then use all the weapons that you didn't like when they had travel time. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Any comments or questions, put them in the comments, and I'll be right with you as soon as possible. If you want to look at this fashion frame, we're going to talk about all fashion frames shown on my channel every week on Fashion Frame Fridays on Friday, so come back for that. I'll probably prepare other appearances. I always show the stuff we've shown during the week, and then I show some more stuff, so check that out. Let me know if you need anything else. Thanks for watching, see you all next time.